world title was on the line, Brian. We got a rematch of that classic from All In with Dick the Boozer and Hangnail Page, and nobody was allowed at ringside. Apparently that's because they decided to go the opposite direction from when they had 14 people run in on the last match. Hey, I mean, did anybody want to see this again? What was left for anybody to do to another human being after their last win? Nobody was hurt, nobody sold anything, nobody registered anything, nothing was capable of beating anybody. So they go out and they do the same shit for about 25 more minutes. A break spot was Moxley pile driving Page on the metal stairs. And then we go to break. And the same indie bullshit that they're known for. Then the referee gets bumped. And here comes Wheeler and Claudio. But security stops them. Because they're not allowed at ringside. So behind security's back, Marina Schaefer comes out, gets the belt, slides it to Moxley. Page goes for the buckshot, but Moxley hits him in the head with the belt. Cover, 1, 2, kick out. Every fuck finish ever in the world can't stop Page. So then the referee sees Schaefer and kicks her out, but she won't go. So the 3 adult male security guards come up and are acting scared of this woman. Yeah, she's got an MMA background. All 3 of you are also a foot taller, 75 pounds heavier, and you're goddamn security, and you're male. You fucking pussies. Nothing happened forever while this was going on. Then the heels finally, all the security got them all in a group, and they took them all to the back so that Darby Allin could dive out of one of the box seats on all of them. They had to get in the right place. It looked like John Wilkes Booth diving out of the box at the Ford's Theater. Then they went back to the match after a few minutes intermission there, so everybody could catch their breath. Brian, have you noticed that now a show doesn't go by where they don't just break out into an extended fight involving people that are not even involved in the match that's allegedly supposed to be still happening? And suddenly, as soon as they stop fighting, the match starts right up again like nothing happened.
Yes, a generation that had a problem with all the tropes of the previous generation, yet their tropes are constant and nonstop. And then get in there after murdering each other and do a yay boo spot for 10 minutes. You know, I mean, it's the same thing every time.
They got some trippy tropes, is what you're saying. So they went back to the match. They went back and forth. Page hit the dead eye to buckshot, 1, 2, 3. 27 minutes altogether, bell to bell, of these two. Oh, Christ. Any thoughts before I continue?
I did not really like the match. I'm not a fan of Jon Moxley's work. Everyone knows that. Won't even blame Adam Page here for that. When Marina started interfering, I think there was a segment of the fans that had feared, oh, shit. Because you heard like a deflated audience for a second.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're going to screw Page out of the belt and go back to Moxley. And thankfully they didn't. And it's a clean win over Moxley on TV. We'll talk about how many people watched it later. And now it's time to move on. Everyone just needs to go their separate ways and do something.
Yes.
Journey.
I think I told you that on last week's show. One of the letters from Willie Gilzenberg to Jack Pfeffer was about the lawsuit between Buddy Rogers and Bill Miller and
that's right.
Carl Gotch, where, well, now the boys can go their separate ways. The lawsuit's settled. Buddy's such a great worker. It's so bad he can't get along with the real wrestlers.
If you've been diagnosed with kidney cancer, liver cancer, testicular cancer, or ulcerative colitis,
I can think of
Alrighty.
reasons for
Remember about
most
5 years ago when Christian Cage's promos were good?
5G technology, stuff in the food.
You don't remember
I'm
that?
not going to answer that, no.
Alrighty. Remember about 5 years ago when Christian Cage's promos were good? You don't remember
I'm
that?
not going to answer that, no. I
You know,
don't,
at
I don't
one-
remember that exactly. I remember him having like a week where he had a good promo, and then he just did the same thing over and over, and, you know, your mother's dead. Your father's dead. Everyone's
way before
dead.
that. Way before the dead mothers and the dead fathers and the dead people and the Grateful Dead. When they first started this show, when he first got on it, he was cutting a pretty good promo. Maybe it was just because he was more used to it and nobody else had ever been on television. But this is another turn I don't understand whose side I'm supposed to be on. This was the worst promo he's ever done, and I like the guy. But it was trying to be another one of those dramatic, introspective, flowery verbiage promos that attempts to be artsy and make these idiotic angles somehow make sense. And he was trying to do it, but at the same time, either he was being thrown off by a heckler that we couldn't hear, or he was doing that on purpose. For what reason, I don't know. He'd do it 5 times when he would stop talking and in a silent room that was mostly not reacting.
Yeah, that's the thing
He
right
would-
there.
he would suddenly stop and turn around. Hey, I'm conducting business here. Like people were hooting at him like he was Dominic Mysterio, but he did it 5 times. And I didn't hear any hooting.
So is he like paranoid?
And am I lying?
No, that's exactly how it came across. Because you're thinking, if I'm not hearing this, he could just keep talking. I wouldn't even know. But then he kept doing it.
And it went on and on where the material is horrible. And he was reminding Edge of all the shitty things that he said about Edge. But Edge, you've done some shitty things too. And then he got distracted again. I'm conducting business here. But I'm like, what kind of babyface turn is this? Are we supposed to feel bad for him because this is so awkward? The patriarchy embarrassed him, but he's still acting like an ass, and he's admitting, I'm an asshole. But he's not like acting like an asshole like I'm your asshole to the fans. He's just being a prick to everybody. Fuck you, Edge. You've done shitty shit too. And the patriarchy, well, I told Mama Wayne, I've been in holes before, none as deep and gaping as last time with you. But I've always clawed my way out. On the double entendres, it's kind of supposed to work both ways, where it has 2 meanings. But that pretty much just specified that Mama Wayne, her pussy is the equivalent of the Holland Tunnel. There was no double meaning there. He was stumbling. I think it's almost because he was trying to explain this, but he didn't understand it. But again, Nick is going to have to go through him to be the face of AEW. But Christian, as I guess the new sympathetic babyface who we're supposed to get behind, reminded Nick that he's got 2 dead dads now. His real dad is dead, and he's disowned Nick and Pip, so he got 2 dead dads. It was a dud, is what it was. Before we get to the afterbirth, which of course has to happen.
That was the best part.
Contractually in AEW, but am I overstating this promo? I don't know what else. I don't know what happened here.
Well, you know, I have not been high on Christian Cage's promos for a while. I thought the whole thing was kind of lame. And then they set up the babyface turn. I'm not expecting him to go out there and just beat babyface Christian right away. But this promo was way too long. He kept stopping at the yell at fantasy audience members. It was a small room and no one was making any noise. They were listening to him. And then he just did not make anyone want to cheer him. The whole thing we saw happen was the patriarchy turned on him after he was a dick to all of them.
Yes.
For multiple weeks, he got his comeuppance. And now he comes out here, no remorse whatsoever, and he gets his comeuppance again. Although this time, luckily there were different camera angles so you could see just how beautiful a scene this was.
Oh, talk about the comeuppance. So he leaves the ring and he's walking up the ramp, and here comes Mama Wayne with her tickets prominently displayed. And then he sees her and she goes to slap him, but he blocks that. But then he realizes that somebody must be behind him. So he turns around and there's little Pip Sabian. And he's going to face him down, but suddenly, for no apparent reason, he spins around and runs as fast as he can behind him, where there's Nick Wayne, and hits him over the head with the title belt. And then they get 2 chairs, do Nick Plain and Pip Sabian. And they stand on either side of Christian. And he obviously cooperates with them to stand up in between them in the right place and bend over and get in the right position. And they go for a standing concerto. And they swing the chairs and they slam the chairs into each other. And they completely miss Christian Cage.
With Kristen's help, we've built our platform to not just respond to customer needs, but anticipate them. So for employees, that means they always know the next best
Action, automation, workflow, snack break, all orchestrated, unified platform. That's so nice.
Yeah, the same chick that was in the little skit on Saturday Night Live said they're all going down hard and all that, how the rich and we're poor, we deserve it. Yeah. I'm good. AI, nice. Weakening of society. I mean, there's a lot behind the AI governance. How you're going to have no rights because of the AI. That's what you want, so I get what you want. That's what you want. That's what you allow. It's going to come. So you might as well push it back as long as possible. It doesn't seem like too many people are interested in it.
All right, Mr. Fisher, let's go through the ratings and see what happened on the fine AEW Dynamite program from Chicago's Unicorn Ballroom.
All right, give me a moment here while I pull these up. These were kind of a day late. And they finally
Were they $1 short?
We will find out shortly. AEW Dynamite, Wednesday, July 30th, 2025, from 8 to 10:13 p.m. On average, watched by 612,000 viewers.
Dang.
So they were right in the middle of the 630s and the 580s they've been doing. They can't. That's their pocket now, isn't it? 5, 8, 630. Right in the middle.
Last week was 608. The 4-week average is 604.
Dang.
I thought they'd been doing better than that.
I did too.
Well, let's go to the quarterly hour breakdown. These were compiled by WrestleNomics. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. Adam Page and Jon Moxley's video, and the start of the Young Bucks versus the Outrunners with picture-in-picture, 684,000 viewers.
Okay, and again, it's become the new normal. They're not starting with the big number anymore, so they don't fall as far, but they're starting with a smaller number.
Well, that goes into quarter 2, 8:15, 8:30 p.m. Continuation of Young Bucks versus Outrunners, the post-match with Okada and Swerve, Mark Briscoe, Ricochet, and the Gates of Agony backstage angle, and an ad break, 649,000 viewers.
No.
So that's not as bad as normal, the drop of 35,000. It is simply because, as we said, they started low, but it's still, is that what they call the Cucamonga effect? I would assume now that the Bucks are safely out of the way that we might get a little increase.
Well, you'll see, because the thing that you may or may not remember from your studies of the Cucamonga effect is that when you mix it with the Moxley effect, it's an interesting dynamic. But we go to quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. The MJF Shelton Benjamin backstage angle, the Christian Cage live promo, and the ramp angle with the matriarchy, which I guess is now what they're calling themselves. I didn't realize that.
The matriarchy.
641,000 viewers.
Well, only another 8,000. This isn't, again, as bad as normal with the attrition.
We go to quarter 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m. An ad break. Stokely Hathaway and the FTR Stokely Hathaway and FTR and the Young Bucks backstage angle, and the start of Adam Page versus Jon Moxley. 577,000 viewers. Low point in the key demo, 176,000.
There is the Moxley effect, and I missed the FTR and Buckaroo's interaction, thank goodness. But do you think that the people saw, they thought they were done with the Buckaroos, but they popped back up, and then it's followed by Moxley? That's 64,000 people left in that quarter. So now they're down 107,000.
And we go from there to quarter 5, the big 9 o'clock hour, 9 to 9:15 p.m.
Why do you deny yourself heaven?
Shut up.
Why do you consider yourself
You
undeserved?
sound like sickness fiance, so what are y'all?
Are you afraid of love?
I hate stupid.
And we go from there to quarter 5, the big 9 o'clock hour, 9 to 9:15 p.m. The continuation of Adam Page versus Jon Moxley with picture-in-picture, 599,000 viewers.
So So they got 22 more back at the top of the hour for a world championship match and still can't crack 600,000.
We go now to quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. The continuation yet again of Adam Page versus Jon Moxley, the Dustin Rhodes Kyle Fletcher video, and an ad break. 647,000 views.
Now, wait, didn't they do that a couple of weeks ago where just out of the blue in the second hour they hopped up
At the
a
end.
large chunk of viewers?
That's right. Yeah.
Did the gas station down the street close up at 9:12, or what? What can we attribute this aberration to?
Hey, listen, it was 6:41, the segment before the Bucks FTR and the start of Moxley versus Page. And here at 6:47, I think it's a lot of people coming back. Is this match over yet?
I got you.
3 segments. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But we go now to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. Athena and Billy Starks versus Alex Windsor and Tony Storm with picture-in-picture ads, and the MJF Adam Page backstage angle. 636,000 viewers.
So they're going back down, but when you look at it, they're still not at the depths of the Moxley business in the middle of the show, 577 to 599.
Well, we go to quarter 8. I remind you, we have a 13-minute overrun, so almost a full quarter. Quarter 8, 9:45 to 10 p.m. An ad break, Willow Nightingale's backstage promo, and the start of Mark Briscoe versus Ricochet with picture-in-picture. 557,000 viewers. 13-minute overrun, continuation of Briscoe versus Ricochet. Post-match with MJF and Adam Page. 503,000 viewers.
Oh, good Lord. So they went from 636, and poor Mark Briscoe, but what do you expect? And I think Ricochet has the go-away heat at this point. They didn't know MJF was necessarily going to come back out. So they lost 79,000 from quarter 7 to quarter 8, and then the overrun lost 54,000. Because they had, instead of a 6 or 7 minute overrun, they had the whole quarter, and people got tired of waiting on Impractical Jokers, and the people that they had didn't stick with it. So
Well, that's one of the problems with Tony thinking that it doesn't matter that Mark Briscoe lost. He's over. You know, now I can give him a push because everything that happened doesn't matter. He's over. But to the people at home, they're not tuning in. He's in the main event of the show, and people decided to do anything else. You don't want that. And they teased that there would be something because MJF and Briscoe have been doing something for weeks. And Adam Page and MJF just had that confrontation about Briscoe. So they teased it. You know, I think the booking is part of the problem.
Again, I don't remember an overrun dropping 54,000 viewers, but that's just me. But anyway, they start at 684, they end up at 503, and nobody wants to see Moxley, the Moxley in the middle. Now it's the Moxley effect. It's like it's a curve. Instead of starting at the top and slaloming all the way, slaloming, a really big slalom.
Is that Rocky Granola?
Going all the way to the bottom.
Yeah.
They dip in the middle and then come back up once that disreputable cretin is finished. All righty then. Well, they get to do it again next week, don't they?
had some late payments on my credit report that were false. It was more of a frustration and a disappointment, and so I wanted that reported accurately.
Meet Andrea. Her story is so worthy of celebrating that we made it into a book.
I give this advice to my younger self. Protect your credit at all costs if you do nothing else. Those are the words of Andrea.
Now, you know, Brian, before we do the obligatory AEW section of the program, and it won't take too much time this week, but we have to talk about some AEW-related comments that were made by the current biggest babyface in the wrestling world, Cody Rhodes. You know, he has kept, whatever the personal reasons were, whatever the instigation was for him to leave AEW and go back to the WWE,
I think he's failed.
he's kept that, you know, locked up behind the wall, hasn't commented, very few allusions. Like he's had it locked up behind a suit of armor. But now recently, a couple of comments he's made, there was just some way I could think of to describe what it's like when a suit of armor gets not a crack, but maybe a little dent or a ding or punk taken out of it.
That's about good. You can stop there.
Yeah, something like that. But he made some comments that give us a little bit more insight, still a little cryptic, but on why he left AEW. Brian, do you have those comments handy with you?
Yeah, I have some audio here. Apparently this is from the Bill Simmons show. I don't know what the exact name is, on The Ringer. Just a reminder to people, we
put Bill Simmons through The Ringer. That's the name of the show.
We told the listeners way back, whatever, the fall before he left, that we thought, I said I thought it, I'm not going to speak for you. You can say what you want.
Well, no, I concurred. I don't recall having a big major argument with you about it.
That wouldn't be surprised if Cody leaves. And people thought we were crazy. People thought we were against the Bucks. Once again, they're speaking out. They can't say anything positive about AEW. And then Cody left. And
wouldn't you know who won the pony?
We said that there were issues between various parties, groups in AEW, and a lot of that had to do with what was actually the makeup of the show and the way things were being run. Then other people said, no, you guys made that up. There were never problems. Everything was great, and then he just got the WWE opportunity. So there it is. That's the precursor.
And to be honest, hold on, I will say one more thing. Regardless of what issues in terms of the view of how the way things ought to be, as they say, there was one guy that had the final say, and you know, apparently he didn't say the right things either, just from what I'm reading between these lines, but go ahead.
And there's one guy who has the final say, who has people sign NDAs, and there is an NDA in place. They've admitted that publicly, I believe. So whatever Cody does say, as I'm sure is something you're aware of from previous conversations here on the show.
Oh, they will NDA you. They will definitely NDA you.
You just have to find ways to actually say whatever it is you're trying to say without getting that phone call. But hold on, let's go to this audio here. Cody Rhodes talking about AEW, leaving AEW on the Ringer's show with Bill Simmons.
There's clearly bad blood, but there's also clearly respect and love. And in the end, the way I kind of see it is, if I felt disrespected ever at WWE, that's one thing. That's a company that was built. Look at this glass. You know, that's the Yankees. That's the flagship of it all. If I ever felt there, you know, I was a number on a sheet maybe. But
At NICE, we're developing AI that doesn't just react, it anticipates. With Kristen's help, we've built our platform to not just respond to customer needs, but anticipate them. So for employees, that means they always know the next best
Action, automation, workflow, snack break, all orchestrated on one unified platform.
Right. So if there's an issue
Covered this.
out there, you know, I was a number on a sheet maybe. But feeling disrespected at something I built. Yeah. with my friends and with us that we built, feeling disrespected there, I wouldn't stand for it. And I think Brandy and I both, I'm so blessed to have her. It was one of those where it was, I did way more here than you think, and you're going to find out the moment I'm out the door. I don't believe in like the cold-hearted, backstabby type of revenge. The greatest revenge on earth is success. And I felt like we were sitting on something wonderful, something great, a huge, potentially with what I was doing with the American Nightmare, as a bad guy, as a good guy, as something in between. We're sitting on something magic. And if I'm not going to do it in the house that I literally, with Matt, Nick, and Kenny built, then, buddy, I'm going elsewhere.
Well, there it is. That's the most Cody has ever said about the reasons for not being in AEW. What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, I saw a clip on Twitter that somebody sent of something they had done several years ago where there is Kenny on the left, there's Cody, and there's Maddie and Nikki. And Kenny is dressed like he normally dresses with his legs hanging out of his jeans and, whatever. And there's Maddie and Nikki in their seersucker outfits, and there's Cody in a suit. And he's groomed, and he looks like an executive. And I'm like, how did this guy get dropped into this hotel room in between these three characters? It just, one of these things is not like the other. I never saw how that was ever going to work. And I don't see how their vision for what wrestling is or could be or should be or whatever could ever be anywhere close. So I didn't see how it worked to begin with.
And again, if you remember the shows of that era, Cody never did anything with Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks.
No, it was the separate, the version one of the separate universes before the other separate universes came about.
And the other thing is Cody's stuff, that was clearly his stuff. A lot of it stopped working. The Anthony Ogogo feud and the speech about, saving America and stopping racism by having a daughter, or whatever the hell he was trying to say there, that turned a lot of their fans. Like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And then it kept being things like that. It was the best thing for him, best thing for WWE. I don't know how it would have worked out with Cody and AEW at that point if he had stayed.
No. He would have missed out on a lot of opportunity. Everybody would have missed out on a lot of opportunity and money. He didn't fit there in that presentation. His story was for the big leagues. His place was to go after the title that his daddy didn't win in the Garden. It needed to be the big presentation. He couldn't do that in a secondary organization filled with pygmies.
But do you also think some of it's the harsh reality that, you and the Bucks and Omega working together on the Indies really got a big following going? At the same time that Tony Khan convinced his dad to let him fund this because he had a reasonable path that he could show to profitability if he could just get television rights renewals down the road. So all this is happening at the same time. For Cody to say disrespected, that him and Brandy felt disrespected in a company that they saw that they built, but was actually Tony Khan's company, that means they felt disrespected by Tony Khan. What do you think that is? Because remember, Cody had, was it an option year? Was it a renewal year? Do you remember what it was when he left? It wasn't like his contract was up, goodbye. Tony chose not to renew him, right?
Yeah, that's the way that I remember it. And again, we can go back and look at all the notes and everything. But there was obviously the option for him to stay, but he chose not to.
Do you think that was probably a hard thing to realize that, this really is Tony Khan's company? At the end of the day, that's the wall I'm going to hit?
I don't know. I wasn't in the room. But I would think that equally weighing on his mind was, Jesus Christ, look at what they're doing, and it's turning into somewhat of a mess here, creatively and or with the talent. And let's face it, Cody, he needed people to work with because it wasn't working with what he was doing there, and he needed
Same phone? Nah. It's me in 3 time zones. One eye on an edit, 1 foot on a trail, and 1 on this guy. Why settle for glass buttons? This is a real flex. Can your phone do that?
He needed not only the structure and the presentation and the big company and the story and the whole 9 yards, but he needed other people that were over to work with and that were able to get this shit over. And that wasn't Anthony Ogogo.
Going to WWE was clearly the best thing for Cody. If Cody had not gone to WWE, would AEW be that much different than it is today in terms of popularity, in terms of pay-per-view buys and everything else? Would Cody have made that big a difference to them? Obviously, it's the best thing for Cody in WWE, but it was Cody being put into WWE's system that made it all pop. What do you think? Would it really have made a big difference where we are today, 2025, with AEW?
I don't think their business would be doing remarkably different anything either way, positive or negative. I think maybe some of their productions would have looked better. You know, we talked about Cody trying to go around and do things on a producer's basis and to be one of the EVPs and help guys with entrances or lighting or, you know, the flow of the show, whatever. Some of that could have rubbed off and maybe the shows would have looked better or been presented better, but I don't think it would have affected their. We've said they couldn't get the reanimated corpse of Lou Thez and make an appreciable difference in their business. It is the people who like the idea of that kind of thing and the constant nonstop barrage of indie type of stuff.
And for the record, I don't know if I'm going to concede that I don't think zombie Lou Thez could be a thing that would get some interest. So I'm not going to agree with that assessment.
Well, they might steal a pay-per-view.
Oh, come on, everyone.
They might steal a pay-per-view with him, but I don't think for the long haul. Because, you know, he is slow. That's the one thing. You can outrun zombie Lou Thez. So they'd have to reanimate a bunch of other, you know, old shooters from George Tragos's gym.
Strangle Lewis actually looks like he would be a good-looking zombie. Like if you put some makeup on him, kind of looks like he would fit in perfectly as a zombie. And the Tor Johnson sense.
Well, now, Tor Johnson, I don't know if you could use him as a zombie. I think he'd have to be the fucking space creature, wouldn't he? See, now we're getting back to some Pfeffer ideas. But yeah, that poor Cody. You know, I think that everything's worked out for the best, but I'm sorry that, you know, he had to realize that his friends were a bunch of jack-offs.
Well, his friends are still in business, and
yes, they are.
They are his friends,
and they're still in Chicago. they got a program, Brian, on the air today for all of the behind-the-scenes nerd of this boring, stressful, modern shit. The WWE Unreal. Everybody wanted us to watch, and I gotta be honest, I can't hate this show. I hate some parts of this show, but I can't really hate this show because there's parts of it. There's the element of something there that I wish they could do more. I wish they could do more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff. Does that make any sense?
I guess so.
I will try to explain that there are certain people that can do this, that are on this show, that are in their own way, whether they're being told to or whether they're just coming up with it. They're good at blurring the lines because we all know in this modern day and age that a lot of this shit's bullshit anyway. Most of it. But they are able to blur some lines and leave some doubt in whether they're bullshit or not. And then there are aspects of it where, you know, when one of these bland, boring, peanut-headed writers is either being talked to or is giving anybody an instruction of anything, then that to me destroys some type of illusion. Ed Koskey is the most bland epitome of a white person I've ever seen. I bet his sweat isn't salty. There's no spice to him at all. And for him to be somebody that would be able to tell the WWE superstars or any wrestlers what to do, I think it just sucks. But I can see Triple H in a corner with fucking CM Punk or Seth Rollins, either one, saying, look, I know you hate that fucking guy in real life. Y'all really just don't get along, or you never like, or whatever the fuck. So let's make some money with this. Let's put you guys in the Dana White kind of thing that they're trying to do with Triple H anyway here. Make him the Dana White of the concept of the thing. I don't want to see these fucking writers because it's an insult that any of these bland white fucking guys and girls could tell CM Punk or Drew McIntyre or any of these big kick-ass fucking wrestlers what to do. Do you feel me?
You know, like what you said at the top, how your reaction is probably not what people expect or things you liked. I found it to be an interesting look. Again, we could argue about what was real and what was done for the cameras. But on the other hand, it still to me looks like an unnecessary, convoluted setup for the writing team, for there to be a writing team, for that many people to be in the room to the point where some people aren't even there. They're on video screens. I just think that's completely unnecessary, and it's falling into the trappings of Vince. I think there's a lot of things that Vince normalized in terms of wrestling production that people still do, that WWE still does because he did it, the way he did it. But I think it's completely unnecessary, that many people to be contributing and Triple H to sit there. A lot of people thought this whole thing was about Triple H blowing himself. But Triple H to sit there as the ultimate judge of, you know, what would work and what wouldn't work.
Well, no, that's not true because after his heart issues, he's not allowed to exert himself like that anymore. And it's hard for him to bend at this point as age has crept up by. But no, in all seriousness, this show is incredibly well shot. It's well produced. It's well edited. And what I would love to see, because they're trying to make a show about how
checking account in 2 minutes, and we'll spot you up to $200. Apply now.
Difficult this shit is. That everybody thinks it's so easy, and they said what a producer did. We've talked about that here on the show. It is a complicated production, but Cody is great at what he said. I play myself. He blurs the lines. Punk, he's a master at it. You can't tell. Rhea Ripley is fantastic. Because she was talking about, I become Rhea, but I've got a lot of Rhea in me, that type of thing. The personalities are coming off well, except for Cena's well-spoken in deals like this. I thought the pictures of The Rock hugging pictures, the video of The Rock hugging people and telling Rhea, hey, thank you for carrying the company. That was phony as a football bat.
If you notice, every single thing with The Rock, like behind him or next to him, was like two different members of his team filming it.
Yeah.
Like Gewurz has his phone out, and they got another guy with a camera. It's like everything is being done for the camera. Him walking around like, hey, how you doing? Like he's the boss who's there all the time.
But that's the thing is I like seeing Rhea and Cody and Punk and the talent that they're focusing on, and they do this well. And obviously Rhea Ripley is somebody that they're really concentrating on for the future. As they worked the shoulder separation in, they weaved real and working together, and it is interesting. And Triple H is being made the benevolent father figure, right? But that's the Punk profile. He always wanted to main event WrestleMania. And they told the story of the real heat between him and Triple H, where they didn't trust each other. But finally they get together. I can buy that's the kind of interesting things with these personalities where people really do get hurt and people really do not like each other. And I can buy the Triple H being the Dana White character that is trying to wrangle these wild personalities and keep them in line. Yes, they're admitting it's a work, but they have done that long ago. But when you see, I wrote her name down, a woman named Alex Williams, senior WWE writer, standing in the back giving Punk some instructions on whatever the fuck he was doing. And he's quietly humoring her, and he's going to go out and do what he wants anyway. But that's why I don't want to see that. I don't want to see all these miscellaneous, bland production people and writing people who went to school and wear ties and sweaters and sit at the board table and take notes on their laptops. If you want to see inside a pro wrestling booking meeting, then you're still waiting if you think it ever looked like that until modern times. But that's what, to me, is the worst thing about taking the mystique away from it. It's not even that it's a work, but how these insignificant little twats are behind telling your stars what the fuck they're going to do. That's where I think it hurts. Am I being too critical here?
No.
I mean, because Rhea came off, she's got a shrunken head. She's got a cool house. She's got 3 dogs. She's great. The whole thing with Punk and the real life heat with Triple H, that's great. The Punk telling Seth the starter's back, that's the kind of shit. Yes, it's a work, but we're competing. Jerry Jarrett would like shit like that. But then when they go to browbeating Abyss because he's calling the moves what they're going to do ahead of time, and they're over time. God damn it, Abyss! That's too much inside the sausage factory to me. And I know that the reality TV people think that it's humorous drama that goes on, but fuck that. That's what makes the business look bad. I want to think that they're going over time because they've got caught up in the moment and they can't control themselves. Maybe something's happening. I don't want to. Oh, Don't grab him in your hold because we don't have time for that. That's too much micromanaging. Again, is that unreasonable for me to make that comment?
I don't think so. What did you think of? I thought he came across incredibly likable, but what did you think of his interaction with Bruce, where he was profusely apologizing to Bruce?
Unfortunately, I think that's one of the things. Abyss wasn't working, but Bruce was winding him up for the cameras because I remember I've said this about Abyss. He overthought a lot and was constantly trying to please, and it was almost like a rib on you if he asked you what you thought of his match and you said anything like, boy, I missed the second drop kick. For a week, he would be apologizing over forgetting that second drop kick. And to the point he'd be following you around. I love him. But the guys sometimes used to wind him up because he's really like that. He was shooting, but Bruce was doing that so they could get that video, I'm pretty sure. But goddamn Abyss, he takes this shit as seriously as anybody. And like I've said before, he was a savant at remembering these matches. Move for move and foot by foot, and other people's matches too that he just listened to. I don't know how the fuck he did it. But goddamn, at the same time, he could wear you out apologizing for doing something that you didn't really think was that bad, but he had taken it to heart, I guess is what I'm saying. So that was a little of that. Speaking of Bruce, he is a man who loves wearing suits.
Whatnot is an auction site where they put up different bags, and that way you can bid on them. You can get like Chanel's, Louis Vuitton, everything that you can find on Japanese eBay, you can find on Whatnot. Here's a quick little unboxing of everything that I got this weekend. Are you joking?
That's just the impression. He loves wearing that fucking suit. They showed the gorilla position being built. We've explained it before, but actually seeing it. Brian, in the 1990s, the gorilla position was maybe in the back of or sometimes underneath the stage. It had 4 black curtains on either side of it. It was about 10 feet square, so we could get an 8-foot table, 3 chairs, and 2 monitors, and 2 headsets in there. And everybody else stood alongside and got out of the fucking way when somebody had to go out. And now it looks like goddamn the Biltmore estate. Jesus, in the 80s, they didn't have curtains. They just stuck gorilla in a hallway. Why does Michael Hayes wear those clothes?
Why does he shave his mustache like that? There's a lot of questions about Michael Hayes. He came off pretty reasonable, all things considered, in this so far.
Well, no, actually, Michael, I think I figured it out. I think that they told him a long time ago, you got to wear a suit. And Michael couldn't bear the thought of actually looking normal. So he said, okay, this is a suit. Fuck you. Yeah, I'm wearing a suit. It's a fucking suit. But anyway, I didn't like the referee say, everybody's good. He's just selling. No, I don't want to hear that.
That was the female referee. I remember that part, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that. But anyway, I've said I liked a lot of this. The main personalities are getting over. I hope they do less writer's room and referee interaction or whatever than they did in the following episodes that are to come. But here's one of the things. These guys and girls seem to have more pressure or get more stressed about the big shows than I've ever seen anybody before. Is it because they have more time to dwell on it that they're sitting out there from 11 o'clock that morning just thinking about, oh my God? Or what?
More time to dwell on it, and also more spots that they're probably thinking about to do that will lead to someone being banged up.
I mean, I worried for a few days about Starrcade 86, and I was wound up a little tight for my WWF debut. I didn't want to shit the bed in front of Bobby. But goddamn, if I'd ever had to get stressed about shows, I don't know if I could have fucking done it. The biggest part of the stress was getting to the fucking town on time. Once we got there, okay, we're good now. And it seems stressful. Anyway, I didn't like when they had Rhea going over the match verbally for Priest. Besides, as I said, I don't know how they remember it. Goddamn. Don't do that. You don't need to show the people that everything is plotted out beforehand, step by step. Leave some mystery, even though you're telling them it's a trick. But I did like the end of it where Punk and Seth had their match on the Netflix premiere, and they went long and everybody panicked and Bruce made Abyss miserable, but the fans were chanting, "Fight forever!" And the thing is, I don't know how much they were exaggerating it, because we all know they didn't have a hard out on Netflix, or elsewise they would have gone off the air. Bruce is saying, for the sake of the program here, well, everybody thinks we can just go 4 hours. Well, no. We didn't say you go 4, but I bet you can go 2:36 instead of 2:33. So, and also Punk knows the cardinal rule with a top guy is if it's long and good, you're okay. But if it's long and sucks, you're probably fired. So, but that was a little way to show some strife and concern over this mad thing that we have on, that we call live TV that we're doing every goddamn day. They wanted to have the pressure. It's a heaviness, Brian, that hangs over you.
Doesn't hang over me, it hangs over them.
But I mean, again, I can't eviscerate this as just being complete horseshit, because they had so much in there where they weaved the real injuries and the real strife and the real bad feelings into what was going on. They just drop the ball when they get away from that. And it still makes the guys as interesting. And it doesn't, slap the fan in the face with, yeah, but this little meat Casper milquetoast motherfucker with balls the size of a kernel of corn is pointing his finger telling these guys what to do.
你盛总都会跟你解释。您是盛总啊，敢对我的夫人不敬，不要命了！盛总息怒，我有眼无珠，盛总息怒。盛总也不像传闻中那样又老又丑，而且联络旗下的明明是个乞丐，怎么就变成？你根本不是什么盛总，你就是那个乞丐。乞丐？我说怎么这么眼熟啊？ 他就是林若晴的那个乞丐老公。哦，原来你是个要饭的。
I have a huge surprise for you.
You're pregnant. Yes.
No.
Thank God. Your favorite comedy series is on Pluto TV. The face is back. All aboard! The King of Queens, now streaming free on Pluto TV.
But that's just me. What should we do? Should we continue watching this thing?
I definitely think we have to. The Rock and Gewurz haven't come in as full-time players yet.
Oh, I forgot about Gewurz, the classic example of the little Casper milquetoast motherfucker with the kernel balls.
It's just interesting we're at a time where this doesn't hurt the business. it makes people who are into the business one way maybe start looking at it another way. But it's not going to hurt things. But this is the biggest expose ever. It's WWE. Even if, they have made up segments, this is still such an expose of everything from a few months ago. So if this is more than one season, or if they keep doing this, it'll be really interesting. And again, we're at a point where it won't hurt their business, but to me, it's counterproductive when you advertise this on a show where the kayfabe is supposed to be intact.
You would wonder, wouldn't you, why that they're... It's like a guy trying to con you in a card game, but telling you he's going to do it first and showing you how he does it. And then you're still supposed to fall for it. I don't know. But, again, the problem is that they've exhausted everything that you can do physically to a human being to get heat or to make a point or to be shocking. They've set people on fire, whatever. So the only way to make it interesting now is that there's more goddamn gaga going on in the locker room in the gorilla position than there is in the ring. Let's focus on at least maybe if they have a real fight when the cameras are around, that would be great. Then they could start the wrestling business all over again. Wait a minute. These guys really don't like each other. If we give them half a chance, they're going to punch each other in the fucking face. Then we got another 100 years. Or do you think we should just listen to happy music, Brian?
I mean, that's always a good option. Every day of the week, you should listen to happy music. Music that makes you happy.
Music just bippity-boppity going down the road. Just all kind of nice tunes in your head. Not the heavy, death-defying metal stuff like, I want to slaughter children or something like that.
I don't know what song that would be, but again, it's whatever music makes you happy. I don't know what Vince was listening to as he drove down the Merritt Parkway. But
well, he probably wasn't listening to anything happy and peppy on his Raycon everyday wireless earbuds.
For the record, he wasn't wearing Raycon earbuds when he had the accident. I was talking about music in general.
I was saying he wasn't doing that. He wasn't listening to happy, peppy music on his Raycon everyday earbuds. He was driving down the road in a fit of pique without the calming effect of the music that plays into your ears and your head and your occipital protuberances over the Raycons. You know what he was doing, don't you? He was muttering to himself over and over, I gotta get there. Maybe he was driving to his Raycons. He forgot them. He had to get back and get them. He can't stand life without them.
Maybe that's what he was saying. Oh, Mutter, where are you?
I'm your little Vinny boy. But now, folks, the Raycon everyday earbuds, you got them. You take the active noise cancellation that they've got, where you can just press the button and instantly everything active in the world is silent. Active noise cancellation. Boom. You're going to be in a vacuum. But you pair that with 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life, you're never going to have to take the Raycons out of your ears. You just sleep with them, you eat with them. About every once a year or so, you have to go to the hospital and make sure your skin is not growing around the buds. But otherwise, you don't have to take them out.
They come out, you will take them out, nothing will be growing around them. They are comfortable, they are easy to use, they are fit for your ears. You have options to get them in the right fit. And of course, they are safe and they have great sounds. And that's really what this is all about, ladies and gentlemen. The sound, great sounds abound with Raycon.
The sounds abound. Good God Almighty, the great round mound of sound. And don't believe me, check out their tens of thousands of 5-star reviews. Of course, you do have to take them out every now and then to trim the hair in your ears. The hair can interrupt the signal, ladies and gentlemen, to act as a small antenna that pick up other radio signals. So keep your hair trimmed.
Scientifically, this is not what will be happening, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry about your ear hair.
But romantically, is your spouse going to want to stick their tongue in your